to this computer. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Math 126E, Section 3008. Normally, that's more important in the in-person classrooms because it's much easier to get into the wrong classroom if you're on campus. Here, it doesn't really make much sense. I mean, the only way you got in here is if you knew that you were in Section 3008 of Math 126E. So, anyways, my name is Philip Cook. My last name is spelled K-O-C-H. My family pronounces it Cook. I've been teaching at CSN for 4 years at this point, and about 10 years total teaching. I'm very excited. This is kind of our first rendition, CSN's rendition of Math 126, and I'm excited to kind of experience it with you guys and all that it has to offer. A little bit about me. I am, as I said before I started the recording, I am a new father. My wife and I had our first, and here he is.
Oh, congrats.
Had to be in here. So this is my son. This is my son, Phoenix. So
Cute, tiny baby.
Hello. Hi. Can you smile for them?
No, he's cranky.
Are you cranky? He's teething right now a little bit and going through some stuff, I guess. But yes, you can stand.
No.
You
cannot teach, my dude.
You cannot teach.
You cannot teach. You are not qualified yet.
So that's my wife, Ayla.
Hi.
She's and then
Archie, he has a bottle.
Sure. I'll show you my dogs some other time. You guys don't have a choice in the matter. I'm going to show you my dogs. It's just going to be a case. But eventually, they don't really like this room too much. This is the guest room. It's not very fun. A little more about me. I went to the University of Washington for my undergraduate in Seattle. And then I went to the Ohio State University for my graduate degree. I say the Ohio State University because the people over there kind of try and brainwash you with it. I wasn't really a big Buckeye person, but if you've ever been to Ohio or if you are from Ohio, you know how important the Buckeyes are. So anyways, and then I moved out here, and I have really enjoyed the change. I liked Ohio a lot, but let me tell you, if you've never been, they don't understand food there. Their concept of authentic Mexican is nacho cheese sauce, which is good, sure, fine, but like not even cheddar cheese, nothing like that. Come on, or I don't know, but just nacho cheese is not authentic Mexican cuisine, and then there's virtually no sushi anywhere, so I'm really happy to be in basically sushi capital. Really like it here. Anything else about me? That's about it for now. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Some etiquette, by the way, for Zoom. In the future, if you have a question, you can definitely type it into the chat if you'd like, if you don't want to have your voice recorded. But feel free to, if you want to have, if you're okay with your voice being recorded, that's totally fine. And I know, so one of the things that through a bunch of teaching remotely is that typing a question takes a lot longer than asking a question verbally, right? So if I'm moving on from a topic or a thing that you want to ask a question about, feel free to just slam a bunch of keys into the chat like I just did. And I will know that means that you have a question, and I will stop to wait for you to ask your question. So other than that, please try and keep your microphones muted. I mean, it already assumes that your microphones are muted, unless you have a question, of course. I think I enable it so that everyone's muted upon entry, so you have to turn it on. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem. The other thing, just another useful thing, if you don't want your question to be public, that's something I forgot to mention in my other class. There's an option to send me a message directly. So you can ask a question if you're afraid to ask a question and you don't want that to be public knowledge. You can just email it. You can not text it, but send it to me directly through the Zoom chat. Okay. So without further ado, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started on showing you this course. We're not going over any work today. We're not going over any Math 126, like any material. We're just going to go over the syllabus, how the course works, and answer any of your questions before we get started with the actual course itself. Sound good? Cool. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. I saw TikTok, so I'm trying to get into Gen Z's style, and I saw TikTok about, like, especially when it was in the beginning of the pandemic, it's like, bro, you don't have to say you're going to share your screen, just share your screen. But I feel like it's courteous, so I'm just going to do that. Okay. So when you log, so you guys should see a Canvas dashboard with Math 126s, right? You guys see that? Okay, perfect. So when you log into Canvas, you'll see something like this. Granted, this is my course page. This is my home page, which is going to be different than yours. You're going to have all your classes. These are my classes that I teach. And so we're going to click on our class. And this is my instructor view of it, but it's good enough. I'm going to go ahead and click on the syllabus. We're going to go over the syllabus first. There's a lot of information here, so please review it after the fact. And please feel free to ask any questions as we go through this. Some stuff that I'm required to kind of have on here is my office location is West Charleston 160D, Building A, room 160D. As you can see, I am not in my office. I am working from home just because it's remotely. And the internet, I like my internet more than I like the CSN's internet. Plus, I have people who are also remote teaching in my building right next to me, so I don't want the sound to echo and stuff. But anyways, communication preference, either via our Zoom meetings or email. Email is the best way to get in contact with me. As a note, and I'll get into it later, the best way to email me is the only way really is either with your CSN email, your CSN student email, or directly through Canvas. So if you haven't been on Canvas before, no worries. There's a button right here that says inbox. This is where you can email any of your instructors for questions that you have. My email address is philip.cook@csn.edu. Just an important note so that you don't get flustered with this in the later on. That's Philip with one L. I spell my name with one L, not two. So it's Philip with one L. The other thing is my office hours. So office hours are a time for you to attend and check in. You don't need to set up an appointment, barring a situation, and I'll talk about that in a second. But these are completely open for you to ask any questions you want, whether it be mathematics related or not. I mean, you can come to office hours to shoot the breeze, as they say, if you want, or if you have questions about CSN in general, I can always try and help you with those questions. Ideally, it's to help you with the math, but I'm happy to do other things as well. My office hours are Mondays and Wednesdays from 7 a.m. to 9:20 a.m. I know, a little early. But that being said, so those ones, 7 a.m. to 9:20 a.m., those you can attend, you can drop in whenever you want, and I'll be there. But if that doesn't work for you, you can always email me to ask to set up an appointment. Tell me some times that work in your schedule, and we can see if I can make something fit. So that's what you can always do. Now onto the class information, unless anybody has any questions about office hours. They're going to be virtual. They're going to be through Zoom, and here's the link to join it. So you can join it here, or there's a modules page that you can join it from as well. And we'll talk about the modules in a little while. Any questions? Okay, some other preliminary information that we're kind of supposed to have in here is the title of our course, the section. So this is Math 126E, which is expanded pre-calculus. It's really what we call a co-requisite course, and we'll talk about that in a second when we get to Math 20, like the Math 26 thing that I want to talk about right here. So there's no prerequisites to enter into Math 126E. There is, however, what we call a co-requisite course, which is Math 26. You do not need to worry about that in your on your transcript or or for assignments or anything like that. There are no assignments. There is nothing to do in Math 26. It is merely a filler subsection that allows me to get you 6 credits of contact time, so that that CSN pays me for the 6 credits, and that you that you get these six credits of contact time. Because in contrast to a regular 126, which is a 3-credit course, we have 6 credits because we assume that you're going into this course. We're all going to be from different backgrounds, of course, but in particular with this course, since there are no prerequisites, it might be the case that it's only been a year since you've taken a math course. It might be 10 years. Who knows? You might have just forgotten it over the summer break and just need a refresher on some of those things or whatever. So what this course does is it takes preliminary information like pre-algebra and algebra stuff, both intermediate and beginner, which we usually call Math 93, Math 95, and Math 96. And we kind of do what we call quote unquote just-in-time remediation. I want to give you an example of what that means. So in this course, in Math 126, we are going to go over polynomial functions. Now, in order to talk about polynomial functions, you need to know how to factor them. You need to know how to add and subtract them, multiply and divide them, and all that jazz. So what we're going to do is, typically speaking, we'll have either a day of lecture that's preliminary information, or maybe at the very beginning of a section, of a lecture day, we'll have a little bit of stuff to talk about, and then we'll move on to the actual Math 126 material. This class gives you the same credit as Math 126. So if you take 126E and you pass it, that is the same thing as passing Math 126. So if you plan on taking Math 127 or 181, if you get a C in this class or better, you will be able to take Math 127. So there's virtually no difference between Math 126 and Math 126E from a college standpoint. The difference that we have is the fact that we have 6 credits and the things that I've been describing. Does anybody have questions on that? It's okay if you do. It's a really weird topic. It's a really weird concept. If you want a little bit of a history of what's going on here, did somebody say something?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
So it said that for the Math 26, it was required to take, but CSN no longer takes them. So that's why we had to pick for the Math 26E / Math 26. It's like they're together.
Yes. So here's another thing. I'm going to scroll down to it and address it right now because this is kind of an important thing when it comes to grades. So we're going to go down to here. So when you take Math 126E, it's basically a 126 that you add 3 more credits on so that you get 6 contact hours with me so that we can do this just-in-time remediation.
Oh.
Now, this 3-credit course, this Math 26, not the 126, but the Math 26, is a pass-fail course. And you pass it if you get a D or above in Math 126E. You get a passing grade in that as long as you get a D or above in our class. And you fail if you get an F. The important thing to know about that, though, is that if you get a D or above, if you pass Math 26, then you can take but let's say you didn't get a C. Let's say you just got a D in Math 126E. That will not allow you to go into Math 127. You need a C or better in Math 127 to take it. However, if you pass the 26 component, that allows you to take a regular 126 the following semester. So you don't have to pay for 6 credits and you don't have to spend 6 credits worth of time. You can instead just take a 3-credit Math 126. So it's something that has to be this is a little beyond my pay grade in terms of registration and stuff, but it has something to do with our system where in order to give you the 126 credits, we have to treat it as 2 courses. It's really, really weird. Honestly, you don't have to worry about it at all. Just know that if you get a D or above in Math 126E, you pass the Math 26 credit thing, and that allows you to take Math 127 or like Math 126 if you need to retake it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very clearly.
Thank you so much for asking that. Before I even get into things I'll tell you something. It's been true of me ever since I became a teacher. My first days are always a freaking blur. And I just go off the wall every once in a while. I remember something that I want to tell you guys because there's a lot of rules and there's a lot of fun things to talk about when it comes to math and our courses. So one of the things I want to mention is please ask questions if you have them. I love answering questions and I will never make you feel bad for asking a question. So please ask if you have it. I guarantee you, if you have that question, probably 3 to 10 other people have the same question. So let's go back to where we were. There's the description. You probably already saw it, or like this is pre-calculus. This is going over the material that is necessary to become to prepare for Math 181, which is calculus. We meet in Zoom here for Monday through Thursday from 4:30 to 5:50. Here's our meeting ID. Here's our passcode. One other thing I wanted to mention about me that I forgot to is I'm a very avid gamer. I love playing video games, both console and computer. And my favorite game, as you might guess it from my passcode, is Final Fantasy IX. It was one of the games I played when I was a kid. Absolutely loved it. And I've played it multiple times since. But yeah, that's our password. This section right here is telling us the outcomes of this course. You're expected to know these things by the end of the semester through one way or another. Here's the schedule, and that'll be available otherwise. I'm going to click on it right now. It'll take you to our tentative schedule week by week, but we can access that at a different point as well. Required materials. So while there is a textbook for this course, it's this big hunk of book right here, Sullivan. You do not need to purchase this. You can purchase it if you want. I love having textbooks. I've got like 6 different pre-calculus textbooks from all the different places that I've taught pre-calculus and all their different requirements for textbooks. So you can get this if you want, but if you purchase the MML code, which is required, it comes with an electronic version of the textbook. So the textbook is not required, but a Mylab math course code is required. 18 weeks should be sufficient. And you can either purchase that directly at the CSN bookstore, or you can purchase it direct at the Mylab homepage using a credit card or a debit card. And I'm pretty sure that it's cheaper on the website, which we'll access today. I'll show you where it is. I'm pretty sure it's cheaper to buy there, but I know there are some stipulations with like financial aid. I think a student told me that if you're one of the veterans, if you have a veteran stipend or whatever, I don't know what they call it, that one, they have to see the receipts from the bookstore. So in that case, you'd have to purchase it there. But you could argue with them. I'm not sure how it works too much. But anyways, don't worry about purchasing it just yet. There will be a 2-week free trial period. And I encourage you to do that instead of purchasing it right from the get-go so that you can see our course, make sure that you like who I am as a person, which is going to be immediate because I'm awesome, right? Joke, of course. But if you don't like this course, then you can cancel or withdraw from the course or whatever, and you're out no money, right? So that's the reason why I tell my students to just purchase, just use the temporary 2-week access code for the meantime. The other thing that is required, I mean, you don't necessarily need to have it, but I would really recommend it, is a scientific calculator. I highly recommend the Casio's, the FX991EX or the Casio FX11ES Plus. I've misplaced my EX, but I absolutely love this calculator right here. You can get it at basically any department store, so Target, Walmart. You can purchase it, I think, on Amazon as well. They're roughly, I think they're anywhere from like 10 to 20 bucks. But if you don't want to purchase one, you can also rent one from the CSN bookstore, or sorry, the CSN libraries. If you want to know more about that, feel free to email me and I can work on getting you in contact with the right people. But this is a really good scientific calculator, probably one of the best in my opinion. And they don't pay me to say that. I just really like Casio's. Texas Instruments okay, but I like Casio's more. Anyways, since this is a remote course and our things will be taken virtual and stuff like that, I can't stop you from using a graphing calculator, but I'd recommend not doing so unless you wanted to do it to supplement your learning, because your future courses, they might not allow it. They might only allow a scientific calculator or no calculator. And I don't want you to develop a crutch on that graphing calculator. That's the reason why I only recommend a scientific. Any questions on the required materials? Okay. Meetings, we already kind of talked about it. They'll be held in Zoom Monday through Thursday from 4:30 to 5:50. I will always record these videos. This one's being recorded through Zoom. Oh, there's a chat. Oh, 4:52. Okay, so someone is going to ask a question. So go ahead and.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
For the materials, it just came to me. On the bookstore, it says if you're going to take 127, they recommend the not the 18, but the other one.
Yes.
Is that so? That's true. I'm not wasting money or anything.
So, this is difficult because we, as a college, we started creating this 126E and we chose a new book, this Sullivan book. I don't know if the 126E committee that created this, created the learning outcomes and everything for this course, I do not know if they were in contact with the Math 127 committee to update the book. So the Math 127 may be using Pre-Calculus by Miller, O'Neill, and Hyde, which is a McGraw-Hill textbook, which has a completely different online homework system. So I wouldn't recommend purchasing the longer access code because I don't know, I can't say definitively if Math 127 is required to use the same book. I hope it is. I hope that the Math 126E committee conferred with the 127 committee to make sure that they were using the same book. But if they're using a different book, that would mean that it would be not useful in that second semester. You can always email your instructor before the semester starts and say, hey, what book are you using? Because I have a My Math Lab code or whatever. But yeah, I don't recommend it just purely because I don't know if that change was made. I wish I knew. I'm actually going to try and find out after this class. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent question. Very, very good question. So all these things will be recorded and posted to our Canvas page for you to view. Like the link that I'll give will be directly to my YouTube channel that I have for my CSN students. I record them so that if you want to go over it some other time, you can, or if you're unable to attend, that you can watch it at your own time. I don't require attendance to my lectures, but I really, really encourage it. Mathematics is not something that should be done without asking questions if you have them. That being said, if you're watching the video, you can always kind of give me the timestamp and say like, hey, what did you mean here? Or I didn't understand what was going on at 10 minutes and 53 seconds. Can you elaborate? And I'd be happy to respond to you either via email or in my office hours, or an appointment office hours. So those will be up usually in about 36, like 0 to 36 hours after our class has ended, because it takes a little bit of time for it to upload to YouTube. And sometimes I get sidetracked with other things. If it's not up at that point, please feel free to shoot me an email saying, hey, Phil, can you upload that video if you haven't already? It could be that I forgot to publish it in Canvas. Once you post something, it starts as unpublished and you have to click publish. And sometimes I forget to do that. Either way, that's meetings. Does anybody have a question about the lectures and like the recordings and things like that? Okay, moving along. Email policy. So this is kind of an important thing for you guys to know. Is I usually respond to my emails within one business day. Sometimes I respond over the weekend, but do not expect it. If you email me on Friday, you can definitely expect to hear back from me on Monday. If it's absolutely urgent, like you might be like, I might check and see that it's urgent, but don't count on it. If you email me 10 o'clock at night on Monday, I probably will respond by the following Tuesday. And if you don't hear back from me, you know how sometimes when someone responds to a text, like you get a text message and you mean to respond to it, but then you get sidetracked, and so it's left read, and you don't respond to it for 2 weeks, and then you're like, oh crap, that person hates me. Just me. So anyways, that can happen sometimes. Sometimes I'm trying to go through my emails and I might have clicked on yours, but I forgot to respond to it and it looked unread, so I missed it. If that happens, just shoot me a follow-up email saying, hey Phil, I sent you an email, can you please respond? That's with regards to me. The second thing is for your for your information, I can only respond to emails that are your CSN student email address or your email sent directly through Canvas. Now, I'm not doing this to be a stickler or like make you get comfortable with your CSN email. There's a government regulation. There's a US government regulation called FERPA. I forget what it stands for. I think it's like Federal Education something, but it's a privacy act. It's supposed to keep your information secure. So if you send something from a Gmail account or whatever, I can't be certain that is you. And to go kind of dark or triggering for a second, the reason why, like, this is the example I like to give as to why this is in place. Let's say you have a stalker. I hope that doesn't happen to anybody, of course. But let's say a stalker creates a fake email address with and asks me as your instructor, asks, hey, what time is class? And if I were to respond to that and say, oh, we meet blah, blah, here's these things. Like if we were in person specifically, then that person now knows where you will be during the day. And that's not a good thing, right? So it's those types of things. It's also to keep your academic information private so that nobody knows what your grades are besides just you and anybody you've released them to. Like if you're under 18, I think your legal guardian has access as well. But that's the reason why, so that nobody can know like your academic sensitive information without your consent. Does that make sense? So if you send me an email from your Gmail account or your Yahoo account or PackUserve or whatever, I'll probably respond by saying, hey, can you send me it directly through your student email or Canvas, because I can't respond to this because of FERPA regulations. It's not because I want you to jump through hoops. It's just because legally I'm required to, and I can get in trouble if I don't. That's about that. Does anybody have any questions on that policy? Student asks, do I need to take Math 127 before taking Math 181? Yes, you do. That's a good question. Math 181 requires information from both Math 126 and 127. Math 127 will go over trigonometry and a few other things, which is required for parts of calculus. So yes, it is required. Okay. Now on to assessment. So how will we be tested in this course? How will we get points in this course? How will you be evaluated? Well, there are homework assignments that will be due each week of the semester, every week except for the last week and finals week. And it will be done through our online homework system, Mylab, which if you don't worry, I'm going to come right back to this, but I'm going to show you. There's a link embedded in our Canvas course. You can click right here, and that'll take you to our Mylab course. You do not need to go through a separate window. That'll make it actually more complicated. So we'll talk about that more in detail in a little bit. But those things will be due Sunday nights at 11:59 p.m. The specific dates are on the course schedule, the lecture schedule. And this is a typo here. I meant to change this. Your lowest 6 homework scores will be dropped because there's multiple sets per week. Now, I do allow you to turn in, like to finish them after the due date with a 50% point deduction on anything that you didn't complete. So let's say you completed 80% of the assignment. You could complete that 20% after the due date for 10% back to give you a total of 90%. That will be like everything though is due December 10th at 11:59 p.m. After that, all the homework, like the homework becomes closed. Okay. If you have questions on your homework and everything like that, please feel free to email me. And as a note, as a thing to help me out so that I can help you out better, if you're stumped on a problem or you don't know why you got it wrong, please send me a screenshot of it or take a picture with your phone. Either way is fine. And say, hey, Phil, I don't understand how what I did wrong. That allows me to see where your mistake is coming from. And that way I can better cater my response to you and where your misconceptions are. Okay? It's not required, but it definitely helps. In addition to the homework, there are also 6 timed tests and a final exam that will be taken through Mylab. They'll be electronic exams. You'll have 2 hours, so 120 minutes to complete them. And this is something I'm trying this semester that's different. I'm going to give you 3 attempts at the exam. And it will keep your best score. So let's say you get a 70 on your first attempt, an 80 on your third attempt, and an 80 on your second attempt, and a 30 on your third attempt. You do not get a 30 out of 100. You get that 80. So it keeps your best score. Now, the reason why I did that is I'm testing something out with the idea of not lower stakes tests. To see how that will feel. And my main goal with this, honestly, is if you do perfectly on your first attempt, awesome. If you're happy with your first attempt score, great. But if you're not happy, what I expect from you is I want you to go over go over your work. You should be doing your you should be doing your tests with some scratch paper, some paper with you, so that you can look back over your problems and say, okay, where did I go wrong? What did I make a mistake on? And if you can't find your mistake, take a picture, send it to me. Because, and the reason why I do this, mathematics is best learned through failure. It really is. It's best done through practice and seeing your mistakes and how to correct them. I can tell you that from experience. As a person who struggled with math my whole life, I started becoming much better when I started identifying where I was making mistakes. I started circling them in red pen and redoing them and saying, okay, that's how we can do it properly. It's a very, very useful tool. It's tedious, but it will really help you in the long run, is if you look for where you made mistakes and learn from them. That's true in life too, but I digress. Point being is, another thing is these things are online. I can't stop you from using your notes. I can't. It's just not possible. And I can get into that more in detail in a second. But I really, really encourage you to not look at your notes, because Math 127 to some extent and Math 181 to a very large extent will rely on a lot of things that you learn in this class. And you need to be able to pull those things, like to know those things like the back of your hand. I like to give this example. You can't play hockey unless you know how to skate, right? If you're learning how to skate and playing hockey at the same time, you're going to be focusing on your feet and how to move across is it a rink? I think that's the correct terminology. I'm not a hockey person, I don't know much about it. But you'll be focused on your footing instead of how to use your hockey stick to pass, to make a goal or whatever they call it. Sorry, I know I'm making it cringy for anybody who's an actual hockey fan, but you get the idea. You want to be able to have that stuff just going on in the background. Otherwise, you're going to be focused on the preliminary information and they're going to be talking about the new stuff. And so you're going to be lost. So I recommend not looking at your notes as a crutch. And the good news is you have 3 attempts. You can learn from your mistakes. Okay? Oh, so student figured out their question. So are those 3 attempts due a certain time frame? Okay, so student said, like, this is a good question. I think we should address it. So a student says, is there a certain time frame to take all 3 attempts? Like, can I take it after the due date? So the answer is no. You have to take all 3 attempts during the testing window, which we'll talk about in a second. Yeah, so you have to take them all within a certain time frame. You can't go back and take them after the due date. Let's see here. So all tests will be in Mylab, and they'll open on Fridays and they'll be due the following Friday, because I'm assuming as you're taking this remotely, you probably have other things that you need to get done during the day. And that way I want to make it a long enough window so that you can fit it into your schedule. The lecture schedule has the due dates and the open dates for all those exams. So we'll talk about that in a second. Exams may not be completed after the due date. If a test is not completed, it will be marked as a 0. Your lowest of your 6 test scores will be dropped from the calculation. The final exam will not be dropped. The final exam is absolutely mandatory. So you cannot just take all 6 tests and say, oh, I'm just going to drop the final. That doesn't work. The final exam is mandatory. Okay. So pop quiz. Do you have to take the final exam? Yes or no? Yes, you do. It's required. But one of the first 6 tests will be dropped from your calculation. Okay. Now, a student asked this in my other class, and I have to address an elephant in the room about this, and we're going to talk about it. There is no proctoring software in my course, and there's a reason for that. There's 3 main ways. I could either have you do it through ProctorU or some other program like ProctorU. I could have you install and use Respondus Lockdown Browser and Monitoring, or I could watch you guys individually. Now, the problem with ProctorU is that you'd have to pay for that. And I can't in good conscience make you pay for something 7 times, excuse me, throughout the semester. I don't feel good doing that. I don't feel good with and then with regards to just Respondus Lockdown Browser, I would feel disingenuous if I made you install a program that I don't feel comfortable installing on my device. Respondus Lockdown Browser, if you've ever used it, it is a software that you install on your computer that when you start it, it makes it so that you can't access anything on your computer except for that web browser. And that's a little sketch to me. I'm gonna put on my, I'm not a big conspiracy theory person, but I don't like the idea of a software being able to control everything on my computer. I think that's a little bit Big Brother-y, and I don't like it. So I can't in good conscience make you guys install a program that I'm not willing to use myself. In addition to that, it also requires the use of a webcam, and some of us don't have webcams on our computers, whatever they may be. And I don't want to have to make you purchase another thing. The other thing is I could do it in person. I could do it over Zoom with you guys. But the problem there is I want you guys to be able to take it at your convenience. And so I can't be Friday to Friday from midnight to 6 a.m. I can't be hosting Zoom meetings for proctoring. It's just not feasible. It's not practical. So there is no proctoring software. Now, there's an elephant in the room here. And I want to talk about it because it's important. I know about these apps and things called Mathway and Solubility or whatever it is. I know what they are. I know how they work, and you should not be using them for your course. That's technically cheating. That is having something else do your course for you. And fun fact, it's actually pretty easy for me to figure out if you're using it or not. Just through my expertise and how I know about the programming of those things, I can really tell very easily if you're using a solving app. So please don't do it. If you want to use it as a checking tool for your homework, I'm okay with that, but do not use it to solve your stuff. I give you ample time to do your homeworks, and I give you 3 attempts at your exams. Please don't take advantage of me. please don't treat me like I'm an idiot and use this thing. I want you to actually learn something from this course. And if you do that, you're not going to learn anything. And it's an insult to me, and it's an insult to the college at large. And if I catch you with it, I have to report it. I'm required by the college to report cheating whenever I find it. I don't like doing it because then I have to put a stain on your record, and it's not fun. So I don't want to do it. I'm a really nice guy for the most part. At least I like to think so. And I hope you guys think so too, as we get to know each other over the course of the semester. So please don't take advantage of me. I'm letting you know, like I'm making it known because I know it's out there and I don't want you to use it. Okay. The other thing is it could be that after this panorama that we've been in for, it seems like 50 million years, if that finally goes away and you start taking things in the classroom, you're not going to be able to use that on that class. And then you're just going to be SOL. You're probably just going to have to retake this course to get you caught up. You're actively hurting yourself. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. So please don't do it. Like, I know it's tempting, but believe me, I can see when it happens. It's very easy for me to tell. I've caught several people over the last couple semesters, especially when we went online, people trying to do it. So I do not recommend it. Okay. So accessing Mylab, as I said before, there's a link directly on our Canvas page that we can do. Please make sure you're accessing it through our Canvas page and not trying to go through a different window. It'll make it a lot easier if you just access it through Canvas. With regards to grades and their weights, 50% of your stuff will come from test scores, and your lowest test score will be dropped. 30% will come from homework, and this is a typo again. It's supposed to be your lowest 6 homework scores will be dropped. And then the final exam was worth 20%, and it is not dropped, for a total of 100%. And I also made a typo here. I forgot to do it. Here's my grading scale. 92 and above is an A, 90 to a 92 is an A minus, and so on and so forth. I usually like to do this in my classes because I'm trying to get with your Gen Z lingo and all your cool hip stuff. I usually like to say that a 72 to a 77 is a C, and a 70 to a 72 is what I call a spicy C, with some Gen Z sparkle emojis. So a sparkle spicy C. To say that it is a C, you get credit, you will get a C in the course. It's not a C minus. And the reason why I do that is technically a C minus does not allow you access to the next course. So if you want to take Math 127 and you get a C minus, you can't take it. You have to retake Math 126. So a spicy C is just saying you got a C. It was a lower, close. I just like your Gen Z humor and spicy things. Like I remember one of the TikTok videos was like talking about Hunger Games if it was Gen Z, and they said they're calling the Hunger Games spicy camping. I thought it was funny. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. I sometimes do that just to lighten the mood. But that's my grade scale. I typically stick pretty close to it, almost verbatim. So if you got an 89.5, that's a B plus. Every once in a while, I may tweak things based on the needs of our course, but it's not guaranteed. So I'm on the record right now saying that this should be my grade scale and you should not expect it to change. Okay? Expect this to be the grading scale, and maybe be pleasantly surprised if I do decide to tweak it a little bit. There's no extra credit offered. And then we already talked about the co-requisite thing. Any questions about the grading scale or how grades are weighted? Okay. Late policy. So we already talked about the homework. You can finish the homework. Like the last day to do it is December 10th, and you can do it after the due date for a 50% penalty on the things that you didn't complete. This one, like as it says, this only applies to the problems after the due date. So you won't get a deduction on the things that you already did. And then with regards to the tests, as a general rule, I don't offer makeups or extensions on tests. But that being said, I'm a reasonable dude. Like I know I look really intimidating here with this badass soul patch, right? It's really, really intimidating, I know. And I need to shave the rest anyways. Sidetrack. I'm a pretty reasonable person. I understand that life gets in the way. I know crazy concept, but school is not the only thing happening in your life. I've realized that. So things happen. The thing I ask you is please keep in contact with me and do it promptly, as promptly as you can. Like, let's say you were at an appointment and you were trying to get home to take the test and your car broke down. Please email me as soon as you know, as soon as that happens, so that we can get started on doing something. I will, if there are extenuating circumstances, I will, at my discretion, give extensions or makeups or whatever. It never hurts to ask. Okay, so I don't want you to feel like you can't ask for an extension, but just know that it's not guaranteed. But I'm a pretty reasonable person, even more so now after understanding how the newborn stage works. That was pretty fun. So yeah, if something happens, let me know, and I will try and work with you. Okay. Disclaimers and advice. This one right here, I reserve the right as the instructor of this course to change anything at the moment's notice. And this is not so I can play God or be vindictive or anything like that and say like, haha, now the final exam is worth 90% of the grade instead of 20. Suck it. It's not so I can do that. It's so that I can make adjustments as necessary for any unforeseen circumstances. Case in point, think about, what was it, 2 years ago? How long have we been in quarantine? How long has this thing been going on? When it first started, it was in the middle of a semester, and I had to switch my classes from in person to online. I had to completely revamp the course. I had to cancel one of my tests. I had to adjust our quiz schedule. So that's what this policy is there for. It's so when those things happen, we can make adjustments. It's not so that I can be a dictator here. Okay. And I promise you, I'm on the record, I will not do this vindictively in any way. It's only if extenuating circumstances arise. This is one we've already kind of talked in it. We've already kind of hit on it. It's that be wise with your attempts. You have 3 attempts at the tests. Study for it, take it. If you're happy, cool. If you're not, review, figure out where you made mistakes and then retake it. And then try and do it the third time. Maybe the third time's the charm for you. But if you're happy with your second attempt, call it good. You don't have to take all 3 attempts. But as it says here, history has shown that students who take test attempts back to back rarely improve their score. I have done this for a long, I've seen this both on if you've taken the placement test, the Alex placement test, you get 5 attempts at it. And I've looked at the data following that stuff from both McGraw-Hill and from CSN. And if you spend time reviewing, you typically score better instead of just trying to take them back to back. So please review and improve. The other thing is do not procrastinate. Oh, excellent question. So a student says each attempt has the same time to be done, 2 hours. Yes. So each test has 2-hour time limit. And you don't have to use all 2 hours if you want. You can finish, once you finish it, you can submit it. But each test attempt has 2 hours. Yes. Great question. If you have any more, if you need any clarification, please feel free to ask. As I said, do not procrastinate. Mathematics is something that builds upon itself very, very quickly, especially 126 and especially 181. Fair warning. A lot of stuff in Math 181 builds very quickly. It snowballs. So it's something you should practice early and practice often. If you practice shooting hoops once a week, you're not going to be ready for the MBA. It takes practice. It takes a lot of practice to become good at these things. And that way, if you start early, you can ask me questions when you get stumped anywhere. You can even bring it to class. Say, hey, Phil, I was working on this one. Can you go over one of these in class? I can't guarantee. We have a pretty strict schedule that we have to follow, but maybe I'll stick around after class with you and show you how to do it. I'm always happy to do that. I actually, if you want to stick around after class, I can definitely help you. But I will probably have a baby in my arm while I'm talking to you because my wife and I alternate our schedules. So she's teaching while I'm taking care of him, and I'm teaching while she's taking care of him. So that's just a note. But anyways, point being, do not procrastinate. It'll hurt you in the long run. Here are some important dates, unless there's any questions on these little pieces of advice. Oh, one other piece that's an unwritten piece of advice, and this is unsolicited. You don't need to take this, but it's something that I've found to be very beneficial. And I want to show you also something like I'm going to share a little bit of a personal thing to show you that I'm human. We're doing this remotely. This is kind of uncharted territory for a lot of us. Like some of you have already taken a class remotely and you liked it and you wanted to do it again. Others, this is your first time. It's difficult. It's different. It's very different. When I started quarantine, when I had to teach from my home, I got pretty depressed, honestly. It really messed with my mental health to a bad degree. And it wasn't until I started making some rules for myself to try and separate my work. Like what happened was my work life and my home life started to get jumbled up, and there was no separation between the two. And it was really, really bad for me. So I learned a couple things. And one of the things I recommend is like, so this right here, this is my work from home sweater. I don't wear this sweater unless I'm working. It's a way to like there's a couple things that this was one of them. One that my students had done is they put shoes on when they were in their house. Normally they didn't wear shoes in their house, but when they were working, when they were studying, they put shoes on as just kind of a good way to say, I am at work. I am studying, I am at school. And when I take them off, I am back at home. Feel free to use it if it's beneficial for you. If not, you don't have to do it. But it's just something I thought you guys might like, especially because these are weird times, teaching remotely. I'm getting used to it. I like it a lot. But I had a hard time adjusting at first. So just to tell you that you are not alone if this is a weird time. Anyways, going to important dates. These are some dates about withdrawing and auditing and things like that. Feel free to look over them. They're important. So for 100% refund, here's September 5th, 50% refund, the 13th. Last day to withdraw without a grade of W is the 13th. Last day to audit, November 11th. And then last day to drop with a grade of W is the 5th as well. If you don't know, a W is what we call a withdrawal. And if you withdraw, if you get a W on your transcript, it just shows up on your transcript as a W. It doesn't affect your GPA at all. And I have a W on my transcript. It happened to me. It doesn't say on your transcript what happens, and your future employers or other schools that you're applying to, when they look at your transcripts, they don't really bat an eye at it. I can tell you from experience. It's only when you start seeing like a person withdrawing from the same course, like year after year after year, that people start to be a little bit concerned, because places like your jobs that you're applying to and things like that, they understand that life gets in the way every once in a while. And sometimes maybe something interferes with your school and you have to just kind of take it off. You have to withdraw. So that's what the withdrawal is. If you have any more questions about that, please feel free to ask. If you withdraw, you drop from the course. Everything's done. You don't have to come to class at all or anything like that. If you want to audit, it makes it so that you're not graded for the course at all, but you can still attend the lectures, learn from the course, take the quizzes, take the tests, do the homeworks, and then you don't get a grade, but you can prepare for the next time you take it. It's another thing. If you want to know more about that, feel free to ask. CSN holidays, these are the recognized holidays for the year. And these are the ones that you will have off, and we do not have instruction on, like, we don't have class on these days. So technically we also don't have class on the 26th. That's another part of Thanksgiving break, but we don't have class on Fridays anyways, so it doesn't matter. Other classroom policies. Recording policy, I'll be recording lectures when we have them. So, I mean, there's really no need to, but if you do want to, please let me know so that I know that I'm being recorded. Just a courtesy thing. So not like, I'm not going to be a big stickler about it, but I'd prefer to be warned. The next thing, this one's important, is the ADA statement, which has to do with the Disability Resource Center, or the DRC. So CSN is committed to making making accommodations for those with disabilities, whatever they may be. So if you have a disability, please feel free to reach out to them, or you can help me. You can talk to me and I can get you in contact with them. But if you require accommodations for your disability, I have to have a signed letter from them, a signed document from them saying that you have accommodations. Otherwise, I can't provide them. It's kind of the law. But you can contact them here. Here are their emails. We have one on each campus. You can also go to the campus if you want. If you need help with that, feel free to talk to me and I can get you in contact with them. But here they are. And you can so if you have it, please don't announce it over a chat unless you're comfortable with that. I don't want to put you out of your comfort zone in that case. But you can contact me privately about it whenever you want. As it says here, I need a signed letter from the DRC. So please get that if you need accommodations. Academic integrity, we already kind of talked about this. Don't cheat. Don't use math solving apps unless you're using to check your work on your homework. That's okay. That's a gray area, but do not use it on tests at all. It is a form of cheating. And if I catch you, if and when I catch you with it, I will have to report it. And there are consequences for those things. I don't like being mean. I'm sure you'll find out that I'm as we go on through the semester, that I'm a pretty easygoing, jokey guy. So please don't take advantage of me, okay? Student rights and responsibilities. Basically, this can be summed up as don't be a jerk to your fellow classmates and to the college, right? You don't want to be mean. If you want a riveting read, feel free to go to the CSN policies. It's going to be, it's a riveting read, honestly. It'll keep you up at night. Really, not really. But if you haven't read it and you need to know something, feel free to. CSN has library support. I kind of mentioned it briefly. They allow you to check out calculators as long as they have them on hand. And I think they also even do things with regards to internet, like laptops and stuff. So feel free to check it out if you want, if you need anything. This is another fun one, is Counseling and Psychological Services, or CAPS. This is, I believe, a free resource. Last time I checked it was, but I could be wrong. It's free psychological services for CSN students and staff. So if you're struggling with something, you can reach out to them. You can reach out to me, but these guys are the trained professionals. So if you want help contacting them, feel free to talk to me. Ooh, I got to change that. Trash day tomorrow. Since we have class until 5:50, I'm going to have to change my alarm for that. Sorry. Anyways, withdrawing, I already talked about that. Advising and coaching services, we also offer that for free for all CSN students to help you figure out what you want your major to be in and all that stuff. Feel free to check them out. Excellent question. So a student says, does CSN still have math tutoring campus? Yes, and even better than that. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. I need to go over this. I'm going to highlight it so we go over that next. There is free tutoring for all CSN students at the Centers for Academic Success. You can look at their website and where they're located here. Here's their hours of operations, barring holidays and stuff. You can contact them here. They also offer it online. That was one of the good things to come out of quarantine, is that our CAS system, our Centers for Academic Success, started working with online versions as well. And this is the good thing, is part of the grant, part of this whole thing with regards to this NSHE mandate for co-requisite courses is the Centers for Academic Success have created a whole online shell for you to access as Math 126E students that is completely devoted to you guys. Both 120E, 124E, and 126E all have it. You should have gotten an email from them earlier today mentioning where it was and stuff, but I'll be posting a link sometime soon. I'll probably mention it next time once I get it all squared away. But yes, you can access that. It's completely free. There's the online version, and then you can also, I believe, there's like they're doing in person now. That might be subject to change based on everything going on with COVID. But yeah, there's still math tutoring. Thank you for asking that question. So, computer grading. This is an important thing. So the assignments are graded through a online homework system, and computer systems are not perfect. They make mistakes every once in a while. It could, and you can, like, this is the one thing I hate about this medium that we are working on, is that it's really hard because you're taking, like, if you're taking a test or working on your homework, you're looking at the screen, writing down the work, then getting your answer, looking back at the screen, then back at your work, typing it in, checking to make sure there's a lot of chances for you to make a mistake. Like, instead, you meant to write 19 and instead you didn't press the 1 hard enough and you only wrote a 9. That would make it a wrong answer. And then you get 0 points. And that sucks. That's not fair. So what I want to tell you here is it is your responsibility to look over your exams and your homeworks after you've completed them to make sure that there are no typos or anything like that. And if there are, contact me and say, like, hey, Phil, can I get partial credit because I got the 2x squared and the 5x right, but I didn't get the constant right. It never hurts to ask, honestly. The worst thing that's going to happen is I'm just going to say, I'm sorry, I can't give you any points back. But the best case scenario is I say, oh yeah, I'll give you some partial credit, or I'll give you full credit back because I see where that mistake happened. So please look over your tests after you finish them and see what you got right and what you got wrong, and learn from that. And then also check with me and say, like, hey, did I get this wrong, or was this a mistake? It doesn't happen too frequently on my math lab that the system makes a mistake, but it can happen. Okay? So that's what this is basically saying. It's your responsibility to check your work and make sure that it's not a typo or anything like that. Okay? So we talked about that, and that's the end of the syllabus. Are there any questions on that? Nothing? Cool. All right. So we're done with the syllabus. I want to go over a couple more things about how our course is going to run, and then we'll call it a day. And we're going to be like Finding Dory. We're going to be like Dory from Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, and we're going to forget that my voice cracked there, despite the fact that this is recorded and you can go back and see it any time. So we're just going to completely forget about that. And I'm going to go ahead and go up to the top of the page and talk about how the course runs. So when you click on it from your dashboard, this is what you'll see. And I update this every week. So right now we're in week 1. At the top of our page, there'll always be the link to join our Zoom meetings. And then what I usually do is I say, what should you be doing this week? So like this week, you should go over the course syllabus. If you need to go over anything, please refer back to it if you're concerned about any of the policies. A lot of the questions are answered there. And here's the lecture schedule. I'll usually have that posted. Attend the class meetings, sign up for my math lab. As I said before, there's a 2-week free trial. And then I'll say like other things that you have to do. You scroll down a little bit further, it'll tell you the upcoming due dates. So this week we have some homework due for sections 1. For some preliminary just-in-time remediation stuff. It's quite a few problems, but remember, this is a 6-credit course. That means that it requires more time than a 3-credit course. In addition to that, I do want to let you know that a lot of these questions are pretty quick. If like, I try to make sure that when I make my assignments for you guys, that I recognize how long the questions take and I adjust accordingly. So if there's really long questions, maybe it's only like 30 questions or whatever, instead of 60 and it'll change from week to week. And you can always go to tutoring to help you with those things. Or come to my office hours and all that jazz. And then if you go further down, this is where I'll post the recorded lectures. So right now, this is today. There's no link here, but there will be after I upload today's lecture. And then I'll do that. Once we go to a new week, these will change. This will be like September 6th, and then it'll have a new thing that we're going over. But if you want to go back over something that you saw previously, you can always click on this, and then it'll take you to our archive of recorded lectures. Right now, there's nothing here because we don't have any recorded lectures. But after a while, these will start to populate. Okay? Any questions on that? Another thing I forgot to mention is, please ask questions. I said it before, but one of the things is I realize that I can have sometimes an aggressive demeanor, and my wife and I have it. If you've ever heard of it, it's a term called RBF, I think. I don't want to say it on camera, but I can sometimes look like I'm aggressive. I don't mean to be. I promise you, I am a house cat. I am not a lion. I am very, very friendly, and I will never make you feel bad for asking a question. In addition to that, every once in a while, I get really excited about teaching. It's my passion, along with as in addition to my job. So sometimes I get really excited, and when I get excited, I start to talk fast, and I don't realize how things are going. So please tell me if I'm going too fast, or if I haven't waited long enough for questions. Okay. I try to make sure I keep myself in check, but every once in a while, especially with math, I get a little bit too excited and I start going really, really quick because I want to talk about everything. Anyways, the other thing I want to mention in this section, and this will always be a link here, is a couple colleagues and myself. Particularly Dr. Jen Gorman and Professor Ayla Cook. We made some videos for our previous courses in our intermediate and beginning algebra classes that I have linked here that you can access whenever you want. So Math 95 material, that's beginning algebra. And I've kind of broken it up into little sections. So like arithmetic properties, like how to order integers, how to add and subtract them and stuff. We'll be going over that tomorrow anyways, but still. You can look at those, and then, so these are ones primarily done from Jen Gorman and Ayla Cook. And then these ones are videos I created for my Math 96 course that you can access. They're a little bit longer than these ones, but you can access them whenever you want. They go over a lot of stuff that we'll be using as preliminary information. So if you want extra practice or something, you can just kind of skip through the videos and go through the practice problems. So that's some cool stuff. That's always going to be available for you guys. And that's our our homepage. Okay? Any questions on our homepage? So, what else? So we got 10 minutes left, and I want to make, I'm going to go to the modules really quick. You can also click here when you're in our Canvas course. And this just kind of takes you to all the important links of the course that I didn't link at the start. So like, here's how you go to the front page. Here's a link to the live lectures that happen on Zoom, which you can access on the homepage, but you can also access here. You can also access Mylab from here. And here you can access my office hours from here, and the lecture schedule, and the recorded lecture archive, and the algebra refreshers. So those are things that you can do. And I might add more as we go on. There might be other things that I want to keep here, but that's what you can click on. You can find your grades here and all that stuff. The last thing, how to access Mylab. There's a button right here that embeds it. Now, my view is different than your view. So this is the way it looks for an instructor, but yours will kind of give you a prompt to go into it. I encourage you to take some time today. Don't worry about starting any assignments today since we haven't gone over the material. If you want to get a head start, go right ahead, but it's not required. But I encourage you to kind of poke around if you've never seen my lab before, to see how it works and get comfortable. Set up your account, start up that 2-week free trial, or purchase it if you know you're gonna stick around. If you're 100% certain, and then look around in it. So this is where you'll go. Okay. Any questions on how to access Mylab, or any questions about Mylab and how it works? Okay, cool. I think that's about it in terms of stuff for the course. Is there anything else you guys want to know about me as your instructor? Or about the course? Or about CSN? I can't say I know everything about CSN, but maybe I can answer some questions. Okay. What do my dogs look like? Excellent question. I will go grab them in a second because I just remembered one last thing. There's an unwritten rule. It's an unwritten clause in my classroom that everyone's required to follow. I like to call it my easy clause. Nobody in this course, especially me, is allowed to use the words easy, simple, basic in a mathematical context. So mathematics has never been easy. It's never been simple. It's never been obvious for it's the obvious clause, not the easy clause. It's the obvious clause. Mathematics has never been obvious since its inception. There's my favorite professor when I was in school said mathematics is a very humbling sport, because there's always going to be a situation where you know something right off the bat and the person next to you is completely lost, and vice versa. There's going to be times where you have no idea how something works and the other person just gets it. It happens to me. It happened to me when I was in school. It happens to me with my colleagues every once in a while when we're learning stuff. So I'm not allowed to say it, and I will kick you out of my classroom if you ever say that to a colleague. Now, I said in a mathematical context, so I can use obvious in a non-mathematical context. So if you say like, hey, Phil, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? I'm going to say, obviously, the Seahawks, because they're the best team in the league. And because we're all Seahawks fans, right? For the next 16 weeks, we are, okay? But just in a purely mathematical context, I'm not like, no one's allowed to say simple, easy. The only way we're allowed to say simple or basic is if we're talking about like a base case example, like a foundational example. And that's the case where I mean it. Is that okay? Is that clear? Okay. And if I ever say it during a class time, it'll be recorded, so it'll be like there's proof. But if I ever do it, you guys have my permission to say you said it. We need to set up a place. Like normally when I'm in the classroom, I tell my students they can come up and slap me or punch me. But in this case, you'll have to ask me to meet you somewhere like at campus, at the student union building or something, so you can slap me or punch me. So that is a promise. If I ever use it in that context, you have my word. Anyways, back to the point that one of our students mentioned. What do my dogs look like? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. If you want to leave, you're more than welcome to. But if you want to stick around to see some really cute dogs, I encourage you. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and grab them real quick. Where's Archie? What? All right. This little guy, oh, he's squirming. He doesn't like it. This is Toby. Okay, fine. Toby doesn't like it. Archie, come here. Want a treat? What's this? Yeah. There we go. Come here. No, come here. Hey, come here. I'm sorry, I lied to get you in here. This is Archie. This is my little guy. He's a brindle dachshund. He's 3 years old. So he is fully grown at 9 pounds. Oh, sorry. 9 pounds and change. I'm sure we'll be able to see them every once in a while when they come to sit with me. So very, very cute. Like they're not really, they're kind of getting ready for dinner and stuff like that. So they're a little bit skittish. Maybe next time I'll feed them before and stuff and you can see them more often. Okay. Any any last things? Oh, no, absolutely. Go ahead and share your puppy. I'd love to see it. I love to see dogs. Oh, is that a golden retriever or is it a lab? It's a golden retriever. Adorable. What's his name or her name? Oh, the student has a question. Yes, go ahead. Oh, there's another one. Oh, you wrote it above. Oh, my apologies. Where was it? Oh, sorry, I missed it when I went. Oh, okay. This is a question. I don't know, like I think it was posted to everyone. So this is a question about Common Core and stuff like that. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording because like I could go on a rant about this, like a tirade about this whole situation. But I don't want to keep you guys here any longer. So it's great meeting all of you guys. If you have any questions that you didn't get to ask, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay. So if you want to hear about Common Core and stuff like that, feel free to stick around. Otherwise, you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. So I'm going to stop the recording. Where's that? There.